That I washed out of training, couldn't handle the discipline, that I ran home like a coward. My father's voice carried that story for years, smooth, rehearsed, poisonous. He never looked me in the eye when he told it, but he made sure everyone else did. I remember standing at my brother's Navy SEAL ceremony. Crisp uniforms, polished boots, medals catching sunlight like blades. My father's chest swelled with pride. My mother cried into a folded flag. And I stood silent in the last row, hands behind my back, wearing a simple black suit. No insignia, no recognition, just the shadow of the family's disappointment. Then the general turned. His eyes swept the crowd, landed on me, and stilled. "Colonel," he said, his voice cutting through the chatter like a rifle crack. The air shifted. My father's head snapped toward me. My brother's smile faltered. "Colonel," the general repeated, stepping closer, "you didn't tell me your brother was the Colonel Wren." That was the moment the silence became a weapon, and I let it bleed. Before all that, there was only loyalty. I grew up in a house where obedience was survival. My father was a Marine who measured love in orders and disappointment in bruises. My brother, Jacob, was his reflection, clean-cut, eager to please, built for applause. I was different, quiet, precise, the one who read manuals instead of waving flags. When I enlisted, my father called it finally doing something useful. When I made it into the Navy's Special Operations pipeline, he called it luck. And when I disappeared for classified assignments, he filled the silence with lies. He told everyone I'd failed, that I was too weak, too soft, too book-smart for real combat. The betrayal didn't hurt immediately. It calcified slowly, one family dinner at a time, one mocking laugh, one cold shoulder from my own brother. I realized they needed a failure to stand taller. I was their shadow, necessary, disposable, until the day I came home. It was my mother's funeral. Jacob wore his SEAL uniform, perfectly pressed. My father strutted beside him like he'd earned the trident himself. They greeted officers, neighbors, and distant cousins, all whispering condolences wrapped in gossip. When I approached, my father's smile tightened. "Didn't think you'd show," he said. I looked at the folded flag in his arms and replied, "Neither did she." He didn't like that. But what came next broke something in me. Not anger, just clarity. He introduced Jacob as my son, the soldier. Then, almost as an afterthought, he turned to me and said, "And this is the one who tried." That word, tried, lodged somewhere deep. I didn't argue, didn't correct him, didn't need to, because by then I was already 2 years into a covert assignment overseas, operating under a name my own blood wasn't cleared to know. And I had a new mission: silence the lies. Revenge didn't start with rage. It started with patience. I began where my father's pride lived: reputation. He'd built his life on being a decorated veteran, a community hero, the patriarch of a military family. Every Sunday, he sat front row at church in his old uniform, medals gleaming. Every speech he gave began with, "When I served." So I made sure people started asking when exactly he served. One anonymous email to the local paper, another to the Veterans Association about inconsistencies in his claimed service record. Then one final file, classified clearance level, stamped and sanitized, quietly leaked to his employer, proving he'd exaggerated his rank. It didn't take long. His face disappeared from the community board. His speeches stopped. People whispered again, this time about him. Jacob was next. He didn't deserve destruction, just a mirror. He was scheduled to receive his SEAL insignia in 6 months. Public ceremony, cameras, commanding officers, family. And that was when I made sure I'd be there, officially. The day of the ceremony, I arrived early. No uniform, no name tag, just silence. Jacob stood tall in formation, trying to ignore me. My father sat front row, shaking hands, pretending the collapse of his reputation was just bad luck. I waited. Then came the general. A man I'd served under for 3 deployments. A man who knew exactly who I was and what I'd done. He was surprised to see me there, the kind of surprise that carried respect. He broke protocol when he spoke. "Colonel Wren, I didn't expect to see you here." That single sentence detonated years of deceit. My father's jaw locked. My brother's eyes darted between us. The crowd murmured. The general turned toward them, smiling faintly. "This man," he said, pointing at me, "commanded operations most of you will never read about. I'm honored to have served with him." Every sound died. I could feel my father shrinking beside the weight of truth.